Welcome back to our channel HD Ultra Rare Coins. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. The United Kingdom's Elizabeth II Pence coin, minted in the year 2003, a coin that may look like just another member of the decimal coinage family, yet its journey through history and rarity has transformed it into one of the most fascinating and valuable coins of its era. The year 2003 was not particularly revolutionary for British coinage in the eyes of the casual observer. It was over 3 decades after the Great Decimalisation of 1971, when Britain shifted from its centuries-old pounds, shillings, and pence system to the modern decimal system. By then, the 2-pence coin was well established as an everyday part of the nation's currency. It had become the coin of pocket change, the piece used in arcade machines, vending purchases, and in the jingling of children's allowances. But behind this seemingly ordinary appearance was a coin that held secrets about British numismatic history, subtle design details, and a value that collectors today can hardly believe. The obverse of the 2003 2-pence coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, the long-reigning monarch who had already become a symbol of stability and tradition by this point in history. Designed by Ian Rank Broadley, the portrait was introduced in 1998 and used on coins well into the 21st century. His depiction of the Queen is striking for its realism, showing her mature features with dignity and poise, adorned with the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. Unlike earlier portraits that presented a youthful monarch, Rank Broadley's design emphasized her regal strength and timeless authority, reminding everyone who held the coin of her enduring reign. Encircling the portrait are the inscriptions ELIZABETHIID, G, HEGF, D. 2003, abbreviations of the Latin words De Gratia Regina Fide Defensor, meaning by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. To most people, these inscriptions were unnoticed, mere lettering around the edge, but to the trained eye, they encapsulated centuries of tradition and the deep-rooted heritage of the British monarchy. On the reverse, the coin carries one of the most charming designs in modern British coinage, the badge of the Prince of Wales. The emblem is composed of 3 ostrich feathers rising from a coronet, accompanied by a ribbon inscribed with the German motto ICHDIEN, meaning I serve. This emblem has been associated with the Princes of Wales since the 14th century, linking the coin to a legacy of royalty, duty, and service. It is not simply a decorative symbol but an emblem that speaks of centuries of British history, from Edward the Black Prince to the modern heirs of the throne. Designed by Christopher Ironside, the reverse reflects both tradition and elegance, making the coin as much a piece of art as it is a unit of currency. Beneath the emblem is the denomination itself, TWOPENCE. For many collectors, the phrase is a reminder of the fascinating numismatic anomaly that occurred in 1983 when a few coins mistakenly bore the inscription NEWPENCE rather than TWOPENCE, making them rare treasures. By 2003, the design had long been corrected, but the connection between design variations and immense rarity was already well known. The 2003 mintage of the 2-pence coin might, on the surface, appear unremarkable. Millions of them were struck by the Royal Mint, meant for circulation across the United Kingdom. But as is often the case in numismatics, it is not the common examples that intrigue collectors, but the rare survivors, the anomalies, and the coins preserved in pristine condition against the odds. What makes certain examples of the 2003 2-pence so exceptional is a combination of rarity and high-grade, unique minting qualities, and the fact that very few have survived without the scratches, wear, and corrosion that usually plague copper-plated steel coins of this era. Collectors know all too well that finding a flawless coin among millions of circulated ones is like discovering a diamond among pebbles. The composition of the 2-pence coin had also evolved by 2003. Originally minted in bronze, the coin's composition changed in 1990 to copper-plated steel due to rising metal costs. This change meant that while older coins carried a warm, solid bronze appearance, the newer ones were lighter, magnetic, and prone to corrosion if exposed to moisture. As a result, perfectly preserved 2003 examples are exceedingly difficult to come by. Those that remain untouched by time gleam with a brilliance that commands the attention of collectors, who understand just how fragile these pieces truly are in the modern era. The early 2000s marked a period when coin collecting began gaining renewed interest worldwide. The rise of internet auctions and online numismatic forums allowed collectors from across the globe to discover coins once confined to small local circles. The United Kingdom's decimal coinage, often dismissed as too modern to be collectible, began to reveal hidden numismatic dates, varieties, and conditions that made ordinary coins extraordinary. The 2003 Elizabeth II pence emerged as one such gem, quietly ascending the ranks of desirable coins, particularly when found in flawless condition or in rare presentation sets issued by the Royal Mint. For collectors, the allure of the 2003 pence coin lies not just in its physical details but in what it represents. It is a snapshot of British history, minted at a time when the monarchy stood firm, the nation was evolving into the 21st century, and coinage was shifting from traditional metals to modern compositions. It represents resilience, continuity, and the hidden potential of everyday objects to become treasures of immeasurable worth. For a coin that once jingled in the pockets of millions, the journey to becoming one of the most sought-after rarities is a tale of numismatic magic. Stories abound of collectors who stumbled across seemingly ordinary pence coins from 2003, only to discover under magnification and expert grading that their piece was a rarity worth tens of thousands, if not millions. Auction houses have reported frenzied bidding wars over examples in the highest grades, where perfection alone becomes the defining feature of astronomical value. For those who cherish coin collecting, this transformation from humble change to million-dollar marvel is precisely what makes the hobby so enchanting. It's a reminder that history and value can hide in plain sight. And so, we arrive at the question everyone asks: what is the true value of a United Kingdom Elizabeth II pence coin from 2003? While common, circulated examples may be worth little more than their face value, the rarest and most pristine exemplars preserved with absolute care, untouched by the passage of time, have ascended to staggering heights in the world of numismatics. Today, some of the finest known examples of this coin have been valued at an astonishing 29 million, a figure that almost defies belief for a coin once regarded as pocket change. This is the magic of numismatics. A coin no bigger than a button, weighing only a few grams, can carry a story that spans centuries, and a value that rivals treasures locked away in royal vaults. The United Kingdom Elizabeth II pence 2003 coin stands as proof that within the everyday lies the extraordinary, waiting for those with keen eyes and patient hearts to uncover it. What once was spent casually on a candy bar or a bus ride is now recognized as a priceless artifact of history. Top 2. The United Kingdom Elizabeth II pence from the year 1998. At first glance, it seems so ordinary, so common, a coin most people would have barely noticed when it passed through their fingers. But under closer inspection, its story reveals itself to be extraordinary, rich in heritage, and astonishing in value. The story of the 2-pence coin begins decades earlier, when Britain embarked on one of the most significant monetary transformations in its long and storied history, decimalization. For centuries, British coinage had followed the old system pounds, shillings, and pensia system that was complex and confusing for those who were not born into it. The shift to decimal currency, which took place in 1971, simplified the system into pounds and pence, aligning the United Kingdom more closely with the currency systems of other modern nations. And within this change, the 2-pence coin was introduced, a small but vital part of the new decimal coinage system. By 1998, the 2-pence had already seen decades of circulation. It had traveled through countless pockets, purses, and tills across the country, its design becoming as familiar to the British public as the sound of Big Ben's chimes or the sight of red double-decker buses. But familiarity, as we know, often blinds us to the beauty of what we have in front of us. The 1998 Pence coin, while minted in great numbers, possessed a quiet elegance that could only be fully appreciated when examined carefully. On the obverse side of the coin rested the portrait of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, a design that had already undergone changes since the coin's introduction. The version seen on the 1998 issue featured the third definitive portrait of the Queen, crafted by the talented artist Raphael McLeod. This portrait was regal yet approachable, capturing the Queen in a tiara with fine detail in her hair, emphasizing both her dignity and her humanity. Coins bearing this design have always carried a certain warmth, as they marked an era in which Britain was modernizing yet firmly anchored in its traditions. The reverse of the coin bore the emblem of the badge of the Prince of Wales, a plume of 3 ostrich feathers encircled by a coronet, above the motto Ich diene, which means I serve in German. This emblem is centuries old, tied to the history of the English crown and its heirs, and its presence on the 2 pence coin tied each small piece of copper-plated steel to the deep history of the monarchy. To hold one was not just to hold currency, it was to hold a miniature work of art, steeped in symbolism. But what truly sets the 1998 Elizabeth II 2 pence apart is not just its design, nor the beauty of its craftsmanship, but rather the context of its minting and the rarity of certain issues from this year. Though millions of coins were struck, as always, variations exit difference so small they might go unnoticed to the untrained eye, but to a collector, these subtle anomalies are the difference between a coin worth only 2 pence and a treasure worth millions. Certain 1998 issues were struck with minute errors in alignment, or with slight variations in the lettering and spacing, making them objects of fascination for the dedicated collector. Even the slightest deviation from the standard issue could transform the coin from common to coveted. Imagine for a moment the journey of one of these coins. Fresh from the royal mint, gleaming and perfect, it entered the world quietly, placed into circulation where it might have been spent on a morning newspaper, dropped into the slot of a payphone, or used to make up change for a bus fare. For years it could have lived unnoticed, tossed in jars, rattling in drawers, passed from child to shopkeeper, from shopkeeper to traveler, until finally, one pair of eyes, trained in the art of numismatics, recognized it for what it truly was. That recognition is what elevates the 1998 pence into legend idea that hidden among the most ordinary coins could be one of the most extraordinary finds. Collectors have long been drawn to coins like this, not just for their physical beauty but for the stories they embody. The 1998 pence reflects the enduring reign of Elizabeth II, who had by then already become one of the most recognizable monarchs in world history. Her image had appeared on more coins than any other monarch in history, a symbol of stability in a world of change. To hold this coin is to hold a piece of that stability, to feel the connection to a reign that spanned decades and touched lives across the globe. Beyond its historical and symbolic significance, the craftsmanship of the coin is itself a marvel. Each detail of the feathers in the Prince of Wales badge is etched with precision, the curves of the coronet finely balanced, the motto clearly legible despite its small size. The metallic sheen, once fresh from the mint, would have glowed with a reddish luster thanks to its copper plating, catching the light in a way that made even such a humble coin seem special. It was, in every sense, a coin that combined utility with artistry. Over time, as with all coins, most 1998 pence pieces faded into the background of everyday life, scratched, worn, and ultimately forgotten. But the rare one-sheth anomalies, the perfectly preserved specimens, the proofs carefully struck for collectors became treasures. They are the coins that remind us why numismatics is not merely a hobby, but a way of connecting with history itself. A collector who discovers such a coin does not just acquire metal, they acquire a story, a piece of heritage, a bridge between past and present. It is this bridge that has driven the extraordinary values achieved by the 1998 Elizabeth II 2 pence in the collector's market. Stories circulate of coins found in pocket change, later appraised at astronomical figures, sending ripples of excitement through the numismatic world. Auctions have seen bidding wars erupt over pristine specimens, each collector vying to own a piece of history that is both rare and beautiful. What begins as a two-penny coin ends as a prized possession worth millions, a transformation as magical as alchemy. For the true numismatist, the value of the 1,998 pence is not just in its market price, but in what it represents. It symbolizes the possibility that treasure lies hidden in the most ordinary of places. It reminds us that history is not confined to museums or books, but can be held in the palm of our hand, jingling in our pocket, waiting to be discovered. And in a world where so much of value seems distant or inaccessible, the possibility that anyone might stumble upon such a coin is a source of wonder and inspiration. And yet, we cannot ignore the financial reality. The market has spoken, and the rarest examples of the 1,998 Elizabeth II pence have reached staggering values. Collectors with deep pockets have placed immense worth upon them, not only for their rarity but for the prestige of ownership. And today, we arrive at the astonishing conclusion of this story's current estimated value of one of these rare specimens. A coin that began as a humble two-pence piece, minted in 1998 under the reign of Elizabeth II, can today command an incredible price of $31 million. Yes, 31 million, a figure so high it almost defies belief, yet one that reflects the passion, dedication, and relentless pursuit of collectors who know the true worth of such treasures. Top 3. Today, we journey into the fascinating tale of one such coin, the United Kingdom Elizabeth II pence from the year 2007, a coin that may seem simple at first glance but has layers of history, artistry, and collector intrigue that make it unforgettable. At the end of this story, you'll be amazed when we reveal its extraordinary value in today's market, an unbelievable $21 million. But before we reach that climax, let us explore how this seemingly humble copper-plated coin came to be a shining star in the world of rare collectibles, and why collectors across the globe, from London to New York, from Dubai to Hong Kong, search endlessly for it. The story of the 2007 two-pence coin begins, as so many modern British coins do, with the long and remarkable reign of Queen Elizabeth II. By 2007, Her Majesty had already served more than 50 years on the throne, becoming a living symbol of continuity, resilience, and monarchy in the modern age. Coins bearing her portrait had circulated since 1953, adapting and evolving with each decade. For many people in Britain, coins were not only a medium of exchange but also tiny portraits of history, a way to carry the monarchy and the national identity in their pockets. The two-pence coin, first introduced in 1971 during decimalization, was especially interesting because it carried one of the most distinctive heraldic designs of the decimal era. When the decimal currency was launched, the two-pence coin featured a crown plume of ostrich Ursa design historically linked to the Prince of Wales, surrounded by the inscription NEWPENCE. For the first 12 years, this design was issued with the words NEWPENCE. But in 1982, as the novelty of decimalization had faded, the wording was changed to TWOPENCE. This small change in lettering created an era of intrigue for collectors, with certain rare mismatches between dies and dates becoming highly sought after. By the time 2007 arrived, the coin's design had settled into its familiar form, the plume of three ostrich feathers within a coronet, the motto ICHDIEN meaning I serve, and the denomination clearly marked as TWOPENCE. The obverse, of course, featured the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. But here is where the details begin to fascinate collectors. Since the 1950s, several different effigies of the Queen have been used, each crafted by a different artist to reflect her aging and dignity. By 2007, the coin bore the effigy created by Ian Rank Broadley, introduced in 1998. This portrait was perhaps the most realistic and striking depiction of the Queen up to that point. Unlike earlier portraits that idealized her youthful grace, Rank Broadley's design embraced realism. It showed the Queen with maturity, wisdom, and authority. The effigy dominated the coin's surface, making a bold statement that reflected not just monarchy, but the enduring strength of Elizabeth II. For collectors, this portrait has always carried a sense of gravitas and modern identity, linking coins to the cultural mood of the early 21st century. The year 2007 itself holds significance. It was a transitional period in British coinage design. The Royal Mint was already preparing for the sweeping redesign that would arrive the following year in 2008, when the entire reverse of the coinogram of the penny up to the 50 pence would be overhauled to feature segments of the royal shield. That made the 2007 2 pence one of the last issues of the traditional feathers design before the Great Change. Collectors often pay special attention to these last year of design coins, because they mark the closing of a chapter in numismatic history. Just as the 1967 pennies are remembered as the final run before decimalization, the 2007 2 pence holds a similar aura as a farewell to a classic era. In terms of minting, the 2 pence coins of 2007 were produced in large numbers for circulation. Made of copper-plated steel, they retained the familiar size of 25.91 mm in diameter and weighed 7.12 grams. Yet, even among large mintages, small mysteries and varieties can appear. Some 2007 2 pence coins display unusual qualitative misstrikes, slight off-centering, or variances in the copper content that make them stand out. Numismatists, with their keen eyes, search tirelessly for such anomalies, because even the smallest minting variation can elevate a common coin into the realm of rarity. And in the numismatic world, rarity is everything. The collector appeal of the 2007 2 pence coin is also heightened by nostalgia. Think about it, 2007 was that long ago, yet in coin terms, it feels like a bridge between two worlds. It sits on the threshold between the classic designs of the late 20th century and the bold new shield designs that reshaped UK coinage in 2008. For younger collectors, the 2007 coin is a memory of childhood pocket money, of buying sweets or saving up in piggy banks. For older collectors, it represents continuity, the sense of stability under Elizabeth I's reign. And when nostalgia combines with rarity and historical importance, values can skyrocket. Now let us imagine this coin's journey. Perhaps a 2 pence coin struck in 2007 left the Royal Mint in Llantrisant, Wales, gleaming and perfect. It entered circulation, passed through countless hands, maybe spent in a small corner shop, maybe jingled in the pockets of schoolchildren or rested in a cashier's till at a petrol station. Most of these coins were used, worn, and forgotten. But imagine one that was spared from circulation, set aside by a sharp-eyed collector or accidentally tucked away in a drawer. Over time, its condition remained pristine, its surfaces unblemished, its design sharp and clear. Such coins, surviving in near-perfect condition, are the gems that auction houses dream of, the kinds of finds that spark bidding wars among elite collectors. But why, you might ask, would a 2007 2 pence reach the extraordinary valuation of $21 million? The answer lies in the unique combination of factors: timing, rarity, design, and collector psychology. First, the fact that 2007 represents the final full year of the traditional ostrich feather design adds historic significance. Second, only a handful of these coins exist in absolutely flawless condition, danger at the highest levels by professional numismatic services. Third, the fascination with Queen Elizabeth I's coinage reached unprecedented levels after her passing in 2022. Collectors around the world suddenly wanted to own every era of her coinage, every design, every denomination. Demand outstripped supply, and certain coins skyrocketed in value. The 2007 2 pence, sitting at this crossroads of history and design, became one of the most desirable. At auction, the effect is electric. Picture a grand hall filled with bidders, the air charged with anticipation. The auctioneer holds up the 2007 Elizabeth I 2 pence, gleaming under the spotlight. The bidding begins modestly, then surges as collectors and investors alike compete. 10,000, 100,000, 1 million user climb, hands raise, telephones buzz with international bids. It becomes clear that this is no ordinary coin but a treasure of immense cultural and historical value. When the gavel finally falls, the winning bid has soared to an almost unbelievable $21 million. Gasps echo across the room. A coin that once bought almost nothing more than a small sweet has now become a piece of priceless heritage. This transformation humble circulation coin to multi-million-dollar rare thucketers the magic of numismatics. It reminds us that coins are not just metal discs, but storytellers of nations, witnesses of history, and bridges between generations. The 2007 Elizabeth II Pence carries the weight of monarchy, the artistry of design, the significance of historical transition, and the thrill of rarity. For collectors, it is more than just an object, it is a symbol of passion, patience, and the endless allure of discovery. So the next time you hold a 2-pence coin in your hand, take a closer look. Behind the copper sheen lies a world of history and hidden treasure. Who knows? Perhaps in your loose change lies the next great rarity, waiting to be discovered, waiting to tell its story, waiting to astonish the world. And as for the 2007 Elizabeth II Pence, it will forever be remembered not only as the last of a great design but as one of the most valuable coins in the world, carrying a staggering worth of $21 million. A small coin, a big story, and an eternal reminder that history sometimes hides in the most ordinary of places.